In this video, I've come all the way to Luton to drive a Vauxhall PA Velox. Hope not. Sponsored by Lancaster Insurance. Oh, I've been wanting to come back here for a long time. This is Vauxhall's own heritage collection here in Luton, where many Vauxhalls were produced over the years. And they still make Vivaro vans. It's a fascinating collection. That is the very last car made at Luton. That is the very last Vauxhall Frontera. Luton now makes Vivaro vans. And this is the very last of the first generation Vivaros. Quite a funky design, I must admit. I quite like it, even if it does have a serious Triangle of Doom issue. In fact, I can even show you how bad the Triangle of Doom is. Look, you can see the Triangle of Doom very clearly marked. Terrible. I go on about that far too much. But we're meant to be talking about this car, the Vauxhall Velox PA. So there were two big cars. The Cresta was the really posh, luxurious one. The Cresta was more your level entry big Vauxhall in the 1950s. This one dates from 1959. It has an overhead valve 6-cylinder engine of 2.2 litres, and yeah, it's got some of the earlier features that really make these cars stand out, like the split rear window, because, you know, making a curved one-piece window a bit tricky at the time, so initially they didn't do that. And yeah, look at the rear styling, it's just absolutely marvellous. These fantastic indicators perched on top of the wings. I mean, it is pure Detroit, and it's very much how car styling was in the 1950s. Americana, but shrunken down a bit. And yeah, truly marvellous. I've always adored these cars. Quite nice in engineering terms. You've got independent front suspension, but yeah, I mean, they're nothing really to write home about. There's nothing fancy about the engineering. I mean, all the fancy is all about the styling. Look at the way the rear door handle is sculpted into the back of the car. And it's locked at the moment. No central locking here. The front door is open, and when you get in, you have to be very careful of your knees. If I can just wake my gimbal up, it's just gone a bit rubbish here again. Yeah, you have to watch your knees when you get in, because the wraparound screen gives this really big sticky out point. But yeah, look at enormous steering wheel going on, and a massive bench seat, so it could be a 6-seater. We've got folding armrests front and rear, should you decide that you don't want to cram 6 people in. But gorgeous, gorgeous interior. So let's climb aboard and fully appreciate it. I mean, it's fairly posh. We've got a heater, we've got a stereo, we've got a column gear change, which I'll take you through in a moment. Umbrella handle type handbrake, 3 big long pedals down here. Look at that, we've only got 2,700 miles on the clock of this example. That's quite remarkable. But yeah, a car definitely built very much with pride in mind. And we've got, they're not quite clap hand wipers because they don't meet in the middle, but they do hark back to a time when there would have been a split windscreen. I mean, these never had that, but the wipers still follow that format, which means they leave a huge unswept area in the middle. But I'll demonstrate the wipers shortly. What is going to be fun is trying to work out what the different switches do. I mean, over here we've got indicators. I presume one of those is lights and the other one must surely be wipers. And I guess that's probably screen wash. And nice centre ring horn. The horn doesn't seem to want to play today. That's very sad. Right, let's have a poke under the bonnet. Let's see if I can find a bonnet catch. In the olden days, they used to trust you not to steal someone's car. There we go. Right, I'm going to need 2 hands. Well, there is the 2.25 litre engine, 6-cylinder overhead valve, a skinny little carburettor. Not sure what the make of carburettor is. Zenith, maybe? Maybe not. Find out. We've got the firing order on the inlet manifold down there, and glass washer bottle, and huge springs to hold the bonnet open, but lots and lots of space. Got a big modern battery in here, and a thoroughly modern label to remind us that the brake fluid is due to be changed, because one of the amazing things about the Vauxhall Heritage Collection is all their cars are in perfect working order. They keep them roadworthy, so members of the press and people who run dodgy internet channels can come and have a look and actually take them for a drive. I'm just going to have a sit in the back though, because I want to see what it's like back there. Well, actually we're a bit tight for leg room here. My knees are in the back of the front seat, but I've got my own ashtray, so that's good. The window winders seem to have been stolen, which is interesting. Maybe that's a safety measure to stop people escaping. But yeah, reasonable amount of headroom. I mean, it's not uncomfortable. It's just, yeah, in a big car, you'd expect a little more leg room, I think. But yeah, I'm not sure I want to be here, really. I think I want to be there. So let's go for a drive. Right then, let's see what this old girl is like to drive. First of all, make sure we're in neutral. It's got an automatic choke. I wasn't expecting that. It's not the most refined of automatic chokes. But there we go, we're getting some level of control. Take you through the gear lever before we get moving. No seatbelts, by the way, pre-1964, so we're all right. Pull towards and down, that's first gear. And then away and up is second gear. Down for third gear, there are no more gears. Reverse is towards and up. But we're going forwards, so we'll go down, take off the handbrake. Oh, no power steering. Find our way out. Lovely whine of a non-synchro mesh first gear. And away we go. Now these cars have become massively expensive. I guess people just adore the Americana styling. Look how expensive American cars to buy in this country. Nice quick action there. Just let the security guard know we're stealing this PA Velox. And out we go onto the glorious, sexy roads of Luton. Choke isn't entirely shutting off, I don't think. Let's try giving it the beans. Oh yeah, it's a while since I've driven this car, but I can honestly say it's good to be back. Liking this a lot. Liking the people pulling out in front of me a little less, if I'm honest. You didn't have to deal with speed humps back in the day, did you, Velox? So this is Griffin House on the left, which you cannot see at all. Vauxhall's home here in Luton, or it certainly used to be. I'm not sure there's all that much here now. Oh, nice lusty 6-cylinder noise. Oh no, I've still got Griffin House here, so there's a lot of office admin going on there. Nice sharp action on the indicator there. See if we can keep it in second, because no synchro mesh on first makes getting it on the move a bit tricky. It's actually really quiet. I mean, I had an Austin 890 Westminster and it wasn't this quiet, not by a long stretch. Do you think 1959, this car is actually celebrating its 60th birthday, so happy birthday. I'm not sure I've shut that rear door entirely properly. I may have to pause and do that before we get on the motorway. I'm desperately trying to remember my way around Luton. Oh, that's interesting. There's a plane coming right at us. Exciting times. There we go, job done. Very high bite on the clutch. But as column changes go, that one's quite pleasant. Oh, I've just noticed the ribbon speedo. I don't remember that. Not a needle, the orange goes all the way around. That's delicious. Because I did drive this car many years ago, but so it's nice to be reunited. It's probably 10 years ago. But I mean, it feels remarkably refined. There's a little bit of wind noise going on. You know, maybe I need to open my quarter light windows here. Oh, yes, there we go. A bit of ventilation without hideous noise. I like that. I like ventilation without the hideous noise. But I mean, I think it's 82 brake horsepower in these earlier cars, and I can't say it feels massively lacking. Yeah, I mean, the ride's quite floaty and composed. The mirrors are not much help at all. But I mean, you feel like you could spend all day driving this car. And we're now going to take it on a motorway. Not that there were many motorways when this car was built. 1958, the year of the first motorway, I think, the Preston bypass. What's now the M6. Quite why the first motorway wasn't the M1, I'm not entirely sure. This is lovely. I am sharing space with the trucks. There appears to be no headlamp flasher, so I can't flash him back in. But we're only going to do one junction, because let's face it, we're not here for motorway. But yeah, I mean, that's a useful amount of grunt. I mean, six-cylinder engines tend to be quite torquey by their nature. But yeah, it's a nice little engine. I think purists prefer the later 2.6 litre engine. But this one's very sweet and frankly has enough power. I don't know why you'd want more, really. Oh, this is marvellous. I'm a very happy boy. So of course this was a car developed during Vauxhall's time with General Motors. General Motors took an interest in Vauxhall very early on, but this car is 100% Vauxhall. It was only in the 1960s and then definitely in the 70s that Vauxhall lost its identity and just started producing Opals, or didn't even produce them. A lot of Vauxhalls are built in other countries. The Astra is still made in the UK, but the Opel Astra is also made there up at Ellesmere Port. Let's just see if she'll hit 70. Yes. Not sure if that's tyre or wheel bearing, but there's something having a little bit of a howl, so I'm glad we're not doing too much of that. So it's not the most interesting place to drive a car like this anyway, is it? Let's face it. The brakes respond fairly well. Firm pedal, which would suggest no brake servo. A fact I've confirmed by looking under the bonnet and seeing that there isn't a brake servo. I do love it when the road markings are so worn out you can't tell where you're going. Look at the size of this wheel though. Which of course is very necessary because there is no power steering. Oh yeah, she does roll a bit. It's a problem when you're set for soft. I think this is the only market, the UK, where Vauxhall exists now. Even if you go to the Republic of Ireland, all the Vauxhall designs are sold as Opals. It was confusing in the 80s because you'd have Vauxhall Opal dealers selling both. So for a time, the Vauxhall Cavalier Mark 1 was available as a sports hatch, and the same dealer would also sell you an Opal Manta if you wanted. But then when the Mark II Cavalier came on, the Opal Manta was the only option. It's always a bit strange that the Opal Manta lasted so long after the Mark I Cavalier it was based on disappeared, but I guess they still had appeal, a bit like the Ford Capri. If a car's selling, why get rid of it? Oh, this is remarkably lovely. I'm tempted to see if the radio works. The fact it was already on and not making a noise suggests no, sadly, no tunes. But the gauges are all looking good. We've got plenty of fuel. Oh wow, an LDV Maxus recovery track. That's one of the Chinese built examples, and typical of the sort of distractions that occur to me when I'm driving a car anywhere. I'm going to pull my armrest out if I can just avoid getting my wire tangled up in it. Oh yeah, living the life. So this is the dream car today. I've come to the Vauxhall Heritage Collection. I've picked just 3 cars. I could have picked a Lotus Carlton or an Astra GTE 16 valve. I've driven the GTE, that is a lot of fun, it must be said. A Vauxhall Forenza droop snoot they've got in the collection. But yeah, I harbour different dreams. I don't really want power. I don't think this drive, this route I'm doing with all its speed limits, would be anywhere near as much fun in a Lotus Carlton. I mean, I genuinely think this is my pick. I mean, previously I've been and very much enjoyed the Chevette. I really rather liked the Chevette last time I was here. One of my favourite cars, which did surprise me, to be honest. But no, I've picked the HC Viva because I'm driving a Marina on Wednesday, hopefully. I've had some slight issues develop with that photo shoot, so I can't guarantee that's going to happen. But yeah, I've driven the HC Viva before, and I thought it'd be good to put it through its paces. I can't just keep doing British Leyland stuff, can I? Let's face it. If they don't change, that's very irritating. Oh, there we go. Lovely gear change, and 60 mile an hour speed limit. So yeah, I mean, this is Hubner. Although these cars are hugely valuable, I love the fact that this is what I want to drive. I just love the styling of this car. I love the feel, and it feels so planted. We've got a steering box, but I'm not having to fight it. It's tracking straight and true. Although it rolls a bit in the bends, it does actually want to go around them, which is something my Austin Westminster was not at all keen on. That thing did not like corners. But it's so peaceful. We're doing 55 at the moment, and it's lovely. It may only be a 3-speed gearbox, but it doesn't sound like it's been overworked. And if I put my foot down, she does hoist up her skirts and get a shift on. Lovely. I mean, I know the crash standards are woeful. I've got no seatbelt, so if we crash, I'm going to meet this enormous steering wheel very hard. That's best avoided, in my experience. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, does motoring get any better than this? I mean, well, I said I like big Vauxhalls. It's got to be said, the Cresta line did diminish somewhat after this. The styling just became a bit too bland, a bit too average. Oh no, to towards for first. I was in third there for a moment. Oh, this road looks a bit more fun. I can now exploit its fine handling. But there are very few cars like this left, because sadly they did rot quite horribly. Vauxhall's always had a reputation for mechanicals that will go on forever and bodies that sadly will not. And I make the point just because people always rip into British Leyland products as rusting heaps, and everything rusted back in the day. 8 years was considered a pretty good innings for a car back then. So I do get annoyed with the British Leyland bashing where it's unjust. I mean, there's plenty to bash about British Leyland, but you know, Vauxhall and Ford had strikes, they built cars that rusted, they weren't always the finest in terms of engineering, yet people don't lambast them in quite the same way. Now I know Hubnut's all about celebrating the underdog, so I'm always going to look more favourably on Beale products than, say, Jeremy Clarkson. But yeah, they all had their issues back in the day. Yeah, caught up modern traffic, which I think is probably going to be my cue to play with the windscreen washers. Oh yeah, there we go, there's some wash. Oh, it's a lovely place to park your Vauxhall Astra there. Where's the wipers? That must be lights. Ah, there we go. Notice how they leave a massive amount in the middle of the windscreen, completely unswept. Oh, that's quite jolly though, isn't it? Oh, 2-speed. And thankfully, not vacuum powered either. Some Vauxhalls prior generations had vacuum powered wipers. And the problem with the vacuum is at its strongest when the engine is not revving. When you've got your foot down, there's not much vacuum, which means your wipers go very slowly. So the faster you go, the slower your wipers get. That's not a great bit of design. We're driving through the centre of Luton now, and it's not as pleasant as being out in the countryside. But actually, this is maybe enjoyable is a bit stronger word, but it somehow feels all the more special to be driving such a car on roads like this. Because let's face it, no one else is, are they? They're all driving horrible modern boxes. Well, I had to bring her back. But yeah, what a lovely car to drive. You think we've had 60 years in which to improve the motor car, but the fundamental principles are right there. A bit crashy over broken terrain perhaps, and safety standard not quite what you'd want. No Bluetooth, but it is blue. So yeah, maybe not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think that is a thoroughly wonderful car to drive, even though it's 60 years old. There will be further Vauxhall content coming, don't you worry. Videos to come on those two as well. And yeah, lots more besides here at Planet Hubnut. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and I shall see you in a future video. Farewell.